Hey, welcome back to another session of Intercity Groups. Tonight we are going to be back in Proverbs chapter 5, and we're going to pick up where we left off in our study of morality. And my heart in this study is really clearly that we as a body of believers for Vintage have our theology about what morality is and is not defined by Scripture. Because I really think that's what Solomon is going for here in this proverb. He's trying to set his sons up for success by teaching them what honest morality looks like. Now, the irony of this passage is, if we look at Solomon's life, Solomon had a lot of wives. Solomon was probably not what we would per se view as a moral person. And at the end of his days, I think that when we look back at his life, what he's trying to impart to his sons is the pain that he went through, how to avoid it, how to live right, how to live clean. So if we can apply that kind of heart, and I think some of us probably are familiar with this idea of don't do what I did, it hurts. I mean, maybe you're like me and you share with friends or with your kids or with people that you're close to, hey, I made these mistakes in life and I wish I had not, because if I had not, my life would have gone better. That's totally my story. And so it's kind of that fatherly friendship advice heart that we need to apply to this text to see the teaching correctly. And so I'm going to read back through it. So now, my sons, listen to me, never stray from what I'm about to say. Run from her. Don't go near the door of her house. If you do, you will lose your honor and hand over to merciless people everything you have achieved in life. Strangers will obtain your wealth, and someone else will enjoy the fruit of your labor. Afterward, you will groan in anguish when disease consumes your body, and you will say, how I hated discipline. If only I had not demanded my own way. Why did I not listen to my teachers? Why didn't I pay attention to those who gave me instruction? For I have come to the brink of utter ruin, and now I must face public disgrace. So this is Solomon talking about morality, talking about the adultery. And we looked at last week at our last session, what was Solomon's answer? It was to run from it. And the Hebrew says to keep away from the door of her house. And we looked at areas that this concept of discretion will protect us in. And we looked at 3 areas: retain our integrity and honor, retain our accomplishments and achievements, and retain our wealth, which is a supernatural law. I want to finish up and give you 3 more things that Solomon highlights in this. And number 1 is that it allows us, when we practice discretion and we protect our morality, it allows us to remain engaged in the harvest cycle. What is the harvest cycle? It's sowing and reaping. All of us are in the process of sowing things in life. What is sowing? It means to plant. Now, unfortunately, some of those things could be negative. And Scripture talks about that if we keep working and we stay focused, we will in due season reap a harvest or reap a reward. The heart of the Father is that we practice morality, we practice right living, and out of that there's increase and there's benefit. So some of you that are young right now, I want to share this with you. At 20, 21, 22, 23, I didn't really even understand that 10, 15 years from now, I'm going to be receiving benefits from how I live. In your marriages, the way you treat each other in your first 5 to 10 years pays monstrous dividends for the next 5 to 10 and the 5 to 10 after that. We have to have this mindset that says we are in a harvest cycle. We are harvest people. And the passion of the Father is that we always remain engaged in the harvest cycle, because here's what immorality does. It removes us from the harvest cycle. It removes us from those benefits, those things we've been investing towards, those things we've been working towards that should be coming to us. It removes us from that. Solomon says to his sons, I don't want you removed from that cycle, because I don't want somebody else to enjoy the fruits of your labor. I want you to enjoy the fruits of your labor, so live moral. Next thing is where Solomon says someone else will enjoy the fruits of your labor. Afterwards you will groan in anguish when disease consumes your body, and you'll say, how I hated discipline. So morality helps us remain positioned for health. That's an interesting thing. We could go off on this with the whole exercise idea, because when it says how I hated discipline, what we realize is that health and discipline are inextricably linked. They're very connected. In order for us to be healthy people, we need to be disciplined people. But the overarching idea that Solomon teaches here is that when morality is in our life, morality brings discipline, because morality tells us do what's right, don't do what's wrong. And that brings health, supernatural health into our lives. I think it's something we should consider, that sin has death laced inside of it. And sometimes that affects us physically. And so the greatest way to walk in kingdom health is to live a life of morality. Does that mean we won't ever be sick? No. There's other things, other extenuating circumstances, and other opportunities for the Lord to heal. But it is a way that we can protect our lives, making sure we are living in a way that positions us for the Lord to bless us with health. And then the last point that Solomon makes here is that when we live in morality, when we apply discretion and we're discreet people, and we just live a good moral life, and we stay away from sin, and we have a mindset that says, if sin's here, I'm going to actually stay over here and I want to be close to it. We avoid disgracing ourselves and our families. Honor is a huge deal. And we all want to be people of honor, but I think sometimes we forget the basic moral decisions we make every day help protect our integrity and our honor, and they protect the people that we love. Now let me pull an example that maybe all of us are familiar with. Maybe you've been around a leader, let's say it's a church leader who has sacrificed their integrity through a moral failure. And you watch how many people are affected by that. You watch how many people's lives are destroyed by that. And the answer for Solomon is, don't do that. Protect your families. Look around the room right now. Protect these people in this room. Protect your friends. Protect those you're connected with by being a moral person. How do we do that? We keep away from the door of our house. That door is an entrance. In other words, we're clear with our boundaries. We understand what kingdom morality is, and we walk in it. And so we've been looking at Solomon's charge to avoid this immorality, and I think it forces us to ask a question, and I'm going to leave us with this question. What is immorality? Because we defined immorality earlier as intimacy outside of covenant. And we looked at the idea in this text that Solomon's teaching of adultery being to turn aside for lodging, or strange lodging. The central idea to it is immorality. And I think we're being naive if we believe that this immorality that Solomon was talking about is only about sex. I think it deals with intimacy outside of covenant in all of its different forms. Now, I know this is a crazy heavy teaching, but I would love for you guys to talk about these three things tonight. Talk about the harvest cycle. Have we considered it? Are there areas where you feel like, I know I'm sacrificing my morality? Maybe I'm looking at stuff on my phone that I shouldn't be looking at, or maybe I'm engaging in dialogue with people that is just not appropriate. Maybe my jokes are they're just a little oriented towards things that aren't clean. The fear of the Lord is clean, and I want us to remain engaged in that harvest cycle, positioned for health, and be honorable towards our families. So the questions tonight are this. Is there anything in my life that I need to adjust based on this morality? Am I positioned for health? If not, what's it look like to change it? And then the last one is, do I believe that immorality is intimacy outside of covenant? And we're going to talk more about that next session. Love you guys. Have a great week.